Thanks for tuning in to the Old Dirty Basement. On this week's episode, we're covering part 1 of Lou Pearlman.
Yeah, this week we will cover all there is to know about the blimp in business, taking a blimp in business public, and boy bands.
Boy bands and Max Martin. Genius.
Yeah, Max Martin.
You got to look that guy up.
Name we'll find out about. We hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you are, leave that 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple, a written review, and sit back, relax, and enjoy part 1 of Lou Pearlman.
This is the Old Dirty Basement, home to debauchery, madness, murder, and mayhem. A terror-filled train ride deep into the depths of the devil's den.
With a little bit of humor.
History.
And copious consciousness.
I'm your announcer, Shallow Throat. Your hosts are Dave, Matt, and Zap. I love you, Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Hey, this is Dave.
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Old Dirty Basement.
Where every week we cover a true crime,
Murder.
Or compelling story.
So sit back,
Relax.
And comprehend.
Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back to the Old Dirty Basement. I am Matt. With me always is Dave and Zap. How are you guys doing today?
good morning.
Oh, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good evening and good night. I guess
Yes.
it depends on where you are.
Where you are.
This is the only podcast to be found guilty on 34 counts of awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man.
With grill marks.
Yes.
25 years of life.
Mm.
But yeah,
That's not the only one we're going to find guilty today.
possibly.
Possibly.
Allegedly.
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 Yeah, that's a good word.
There it is. There it is.
So, Zap, this is one you picked out, and would you call this a white-collar crime? Or?
Oh, for sure. This is his
I thought you
white.
were going to say a white guy crime.
well, it's that too.
As chance would have it.
Lou Pearlman.
Yeah, Lou Pearlman, as white man as it gets, as white collar as it gets. I love doing the financial ones, and this guy was, I mean, when I first saw the name and the story, I thought, oh, okay, seems interesting. There's a couple of things that people could, to which people could relate. But as you start digging into everything that this guy did, mind blowing.
Yeah, I only knew the name when you brought it up. I did equate it to the boy bands because I do remember that part of it, but there's a lot more to the story than that.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this before, obviously before coming over, and she had mentioned, she'd known the name from way back when as well. Like he was always with the boy bands and just a presence, a constant presence, but I had no idea. Not my style, as it were.
No, for sure.
Yeah, there's many episodes, stuff on YouTube, things to look in. Like this guy has stuff out there if you're just, interested in and delve in and look.
Oh yeah, there's a documentary on YouTube that I think a kid from NSYNC, when I say kid.
Yeah, Nick Carter.
Yeah. Is it
grown ass man from NSYNC?
Or was that, I'm sorry, it was one, I think maybe the kid
One
from
Direction.
NSYNC. Lance Bass, maybe.
Oh,
did
you know
one.
what? You're right. It's not Nick Carter. And we'll get to him at some point, the topic of Nick Carter. But it was, in fact, Lance Bass.
Yeah, he has, I think he produced it or had something to do with it. The one that was on YouTube that I saw. I got to see a little bit of it. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it, man.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Let's dive.
Let's jump into Lou Pearlman. Ooh, I wonder if we would be the first.
He just sounds like a jeweler, though.
Sure.
Lou Pearlman's Jewels. Come today.
Yeah, Pearlman.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this guy was born on June 19th, 1954 in Queens, New York. There's nothing of real note relative to his childhood. He was just a normal average kid. But he did grow up having a relatively famous first cousin, Art Garfunkel, who was actually 13 years older than him. Inspired by his cousin's success in the music biz, Lou attempted to get into the business as a manager while still in his teens, but of course found little to no success. All of that aside, Lou had grown up in an apartment building located across the street from an airport. There, he'd befriended the only other kid in the apartment building, Alan Gross, whose bedroom window faced the airport. At 10 years old, he became fascinated with blimps, which were regularly in service at the airport. He went on to attend Queens College, where he majored in business. After college, he went on to start a helicopter taxi service in New York City. Alan Gross's apartment became the business's headquarters. Still fascinated with the dirigible industry, Pearlman later traveled to West Germany to learn all he could about blimps.
Two things on that. So growing up across from an airport must suck. You probably don't sleep a lot. I mean, it's got to be loud as hell, I would think.
So I grew up in High Spire, and right next to High Spire, right on the edge of High Spire, is Harrisburg International Airport.
Yes.
And I was right up the street from that pretty much. So, yeah, we heard them all the time.
All day, every day. All day. Like, it just becomes just, you grow numb to it after a while.
The thing that struck me with this, it sounded like the beginning to a crime story, or like Goodfellas, like the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, he meets his friend across the street. They live by the airport, two kids trying to hustle.
You're visualizing.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I did have two little things on his childhood I thought was interesting. I think the one story, well, these two might be from his book. The one was when he was 8 years old, he decided to set up a lemonade stand. I think he did it like across from like a bus station or something. He knew he'd get a lot of foot traffic. But he charged 7 cents instead of 5 and 10. Because he figured he'd get the change. People give him a dime to keep the change. So it was an easy way to make 10 cents without asking for it.
Interesting.
So he had that business mindset. I guess
Entrepreneur
from a
beginning.
Young kid. But now Zap and I talked about this next. The other part we talked about. I'm sure you'll bring up that interest in the blimps and all that, saying that his apartment was a cross was actually not true.
So as the story goes, so as very well done, Dave, mentioning his book. So as Lou will do, not just now, but over the course of his life, he will live vicariously through other people. And in this case, let's say in his book, he had written, he grew up and out of his bedroom window, he would see these things. And he wanted to do this because, thanks to his apartment being across from this airport and this, that, and the other thing.
So you're saying it was more of his neighbor friend, maybe Alan Gross? That was his
100%. He would hang out over at his neighbor's house. And in fact, it was his neighbor, Alan Gross, who was, and I think still alive, remains obsessed. I think he still lives in the same damn apartment building, obsessed with blimps and planes and dirigibles and you name it. Like, he just loves that stuff. And so, again, this Lou guy is basically living out the childhood dreams of his friend. And as they surely came up together, enjoying it, it was in fact his friend's obsession that got Lou obsessed, and Lou decided to get into it.
To take that story, yeah.
But Lou will tell you that, it was me from the gate. It was all my life. It was all my experiences.
But he sounds like a regular kid from Queens, New York. I know there's not much money rolling around Queens at the time in the 50s. So was it like uncle that gave him some money to put away for things? Or it seems like he was able to do a lot more than a regular kid from Queens would be able to do.
So let's see, if he was born in 54, let's say he makes his way to college at 18, so you're looking at 72. Things weren't too bad by then.
Yeah, true. Getting out loans, started taxes. Yeah, okay.
But I'm thinking sense. You're going through whatever kind of social impact and growth has happened in the United States by now, and whatever. I gotta believe that somehow, some way he made his way.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing he did allegedly, and this is from him, and come to find out it wasn't entirely true, is he said he acquired some paper routes as a kid from like other kids in the area. He would, take on these paper routes, but he would package breakfast with the paper. So he would tell people, hey, I'll deliver your paper and Dunkin' Donuts for set amount. You know what I mean? So
he claims to be like the first DoorDash.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. From DoorDash to Jordash. We'll find out later on.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Got that Jordash look.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a foreshadow.
Yeah. Oh, not too long, though. So he went to Germany, West Germany, learned all he could. Now back in the United States, armed with all there is to know about the blimping business, Pearlman started a company called Airship Enterprises Limited in the mid-'80s with the intent of using blimps for advertising.
Wow.
In fact, his first customer was Jordash.
There it is.
And his first problem with his business was not owning or having a blimp to fulfill the Jordash advertising contract. He used the money from Jordash to build the blimp that was to advertise for them. But because it was built so hastily and with shoddy materials, the blimp crashed on its first flight. Fun fact, the blimp was assembled at the same naval base in New Jersey where the Hindenburg crashed and burned in 1937.
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, thank God for insurance, Pearlman was ultimately awarded a $2.5 million settlement. He remained intent to continue in the blimp rental business. With Airship Enterprises Limited, now defunct, he started a new company, Airship International. He'd since befriended a Wall Street broker who helped him to take Airship International public and raise enough money to buy a decent blimp to the tune of $3 million.
Damn. Blimping ain't easy.
No, blimping ain't easy.
He even saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp.
That's right.
Yeah.
Saying Lou Pearlman's a pimp.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they said on that Jordache blimp that he had acquired the parts and had them assemble it, and the actual cost, just to throw a number out there, let's say it was $200,000.
Yep.
It was nowhere near what the insurance money was.
Correct.
So that's where people were starting to think, okay, well, was that staged? Like, did he want it to crash? Because he took the policy out on the much higher amount
Sure.
for an actual blimp. He had to go into court and everything with the insurance company to get the money.
And this went on for a long time. And I think the way that I had read this, because it was drawn out for so long, not only did he get the replacement value for the blimp, which again was pennies compared to $2.5 million.
Right.
So let's see, he got the parts in California or wherever, had them shipped over to Jersey, put that all together with the blimp, and again, it crashed. But what he can also claim is the lost revenue that he would have otherwise been getting from that advertisement
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm missing, $100,000 a month or $50,000 a month or whatever in advertising, shit. Well, that counts too. Come on, insurance, let's go. I got to get my blimp back up there.
Wouldn't you pull the money from the blimp and just put up billboards?
So you would think, but I mean, blimping ain't easy.
That's we
right.
talked about that.
And
but
think of it as a mobile billboard, and not just on the ground. This is up high.
yes, everybody can see it.
Everybody can see it. And I don't know, you see a highfalutin blimp,
You think these people have money. They're doing well.
it must be cool. I'm going to go check out. Blimps are awesome, right? Like, by awesome, they're unique. You certainly don't see them every day.
No. And you get excited still to these days, to these days, you still get excited if you see a blimp somewhere because you don't see them.
And
that's true.
And it's a billboard that's moving. You're going to cover a lot.
What
of
about the little
area.
planes that pull the thing behind them?
Yeah,
all you can eat buffet
down the beach.
Yeah.
That'd be cheaper for sure.
Yes.
But
But
I
you're
don't know,
stuck with the beachy crowd.
Yeah, you're going to get that beach crowd. That Jordache ad that they supposedly they painted that blimp. It was like $15,000 in gold paint.
It was gold
or
leaf paint.
50,000 maybe.
Yep.
And that was one of the factors. The weight. It was way too much weight for the actual.
They claim there is a claim that the weight of that paint weighed down the blimp so much that's what caused it to crash.
Yeah, and their idea was they had a bunch of models in Jordache jeans that they were going to fly to, like, I think it was like in New York City somewhere, and have them land and then walk out with Jordache stuff on. It ended up being good.
Any publicity is good publicity.
That's what it is. Because they were all over the news.
Yeah.
Jordache blimp went down, blah, blah, blah. So it ended up being a good thing.
Maybe they did it on purpose.
That's what we were saying, because of the insurance money, and they were happy.
Yes.
I mean, again, you keep hearing a name over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's trending. It's provocative. Yeah, sure. I'm going to look into it more.
Right.
Just the blimp to me doesn't make economic sense, but
Yeah.
it's
different.
It's different.
Unique, I guess.
It's a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
That's blimp money. I don't understand blimp money.
Yeah, I don't understand. That's cars. This doors.
Doors go like that, yeah.
Blimps go like this. Advertisement. I don't know. Something like that. We'll come up with something.
With Airship International, now a publicly traded company, McDonald's was Airship International's first customer. And that McDonald's money alone helped to keep the business afloat and flush. In July 1991, Pearlman relocated Airship International's offices to Florida. By now, he had two solid businesses on which to stand: his publicly traded blimp company, Airship International, and a private luxury air charter he'd started named Transcontinental Airlines, which provided planes for large touring rock bands and pop acts, among other customers. Fun fact, his partner in this business was a guy named Theodore Woolenkemper. This is the same guy from whom he learned all there is to know about the blimping business when he was in West Germany. It was thanks to one of Transcontinental Airlines' customers, New Kids on the Block, that Pearlman reset his sights back on the music industry, particularly when the group's manager told Lou that New Kids were grossing $100 million a month. Indeed, New Kids on the Block grossed close to $1 billion in 1990.
That's crazy money.
B.
That's a B. Car doors go like this.
Wow.
And there was an interview with Lou, and he was talking about that when he heard about New Kids, and they rented the plane for like a month or something like that.
Sure.
And it was like $250,000 cash or something that they paid. And he said that the number is $1 billion, like you said. This is what got me though. Of that $1 billion, 800 million of that was for merchandise.
Sure.
Like the other 200 million was like, music sales and probably tours and whatnot.
Yep.
But the majority of, and I'm sure with the boy bands that will come in this story, a lot of their money came from T-shirts, posters.
Dude, you have
those buttons.
Yes.
I think, like my sister, her and her friends had these big buttons, like all the New Kids. Like her room was posters, New Kids, New Kids T-shirts.
precisely everything Matt said and then some. I mean, the merchandising alone
Merchandising.
was bananas for New Kids. And again, when I say that New Kids made $1 billion, it's essentially the New Kids on the Block brand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what did it. Like Matt said, the pins, the posters, the T-shirts, you name it. And P.S., even to this day, T-shirt sales and merch sales at a concert, Christ, the money that shit rakes in. It is insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, you're talking $45 for a T-shirt.
It's nuts.
It is a good money
and everybody's
maker.
in line.
Right.
Because that's where they make their money, on tours and through selling the merchandise.
And you think about with like a boy band, they usually have like 4 or 5 members. I think it's usually 5 members is like the formula, but you're selling like 5, maybe 5 of each then, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, or well, maybe there's always like 1 or 2 that sell a little less. You have your favorites and stuff, but
Sure.
the merchandising is just crazy.
Bananas.
But see, I like the way that Zapp has this written out here. They're saying that, New Kids were grossing $100 million a month. Indeed, they grossed close to $1 billion. And I think a guy like Pearlman hears this kind of money, and he right away, like you said, I need to get into that.
Correct. You see somebody doing it, well, hell, I can do that
I can
too.
do that.
Shit, I've already got planes and I got blimps. Why not? What can I do to get into that business?
And here, like, it wasn't a lot of these people. Well, we'll talk about the industry though, but yeah, there was so many hands in a cookie jar. Like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And
We shall see as this
see.
unfolds. Well, while Lou worked on his plans to get into the boy band business, he still had a blimp and chartered plane business to run.
a lot of bees.
A lot of bees. A lot of alliteration today.
Mm-hmm.
Having successfully started both of these businesses using other people's money, he sought out additional investors to help grow the businesses. The first of his significant investors was a then 22-year-old trust fund baby named Julian Bencher, who bought into Airship International's business and became its second largest shareholder. But Bencher's cash infusion came at a cost. That is, the need to expand the business. Lou turned to his tried and true means of raising capital, another public offering of stock. Pearlman needed a firm that would push his company's stock hard on its customers. He enlisted the aid of a Colorado-based brokerage house called Chatfield, Dean & Company, which managed to raise $17 million from investors. The proceeds raised were used to purchase 4 additional blimps, which were then used to fulfill advertising contracts with SeaWorld, Metropolitan Life Insurance, Gulf Oil, and a handful of other lucrative customers. But that hard selling of Airship International stock came at a cost. Not long after the $17 million had been raised, Chatfield, Dean & Company was hit with $2.4 million in fines by the National Association of Securities Dealers for swindling investors. Not just swindling. Chatfield brokers took investors' orders for other stock and actually bought Airship International shares instead. Can you dig that? Like, that's, hey man, I want to buy Microsoft. Cool, man, I'll fill that order. Hey man, I got an order for Airship. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
Was that were they doing that kind of with Crypto Dude?
Yeah, that's how they
Was
all
that
make
something
their money.
similar like that?
Yeah.
It's something similar to, well, maybe yes and no. I mean, it depends on how, like, if you say Airship International, well, do you want Airship International Limited? Do you want Airship International International? Do you want Airship International LLC? Do you want, you know what I mean? So they can start screwing around like that. But either way, they were taking orders for a completely unrelated stock and buying Airship International stock.
Like pumping that up.
But
This
most brokerage companies do that though. Like you don't know exactly where. I mean, used to a lot more than they can today because you can track it mostly on your computer. But they would just take the money and use that to invest in other things and try to pay back. You know what I mean?
I don't want to say most. I'm sure that it
I'm sure,
obviously did happen.
Yeah.
And you're putting your trust in them, and that's why these guys get hit with fines when customers say, hey, dickhead, I told you to buy this. What are you doing?
But then they usually don't get their money back because they're so far in debt with the, you know what I mean? Getting hit with those fines, and then it's like, ah, shit. lost my money.
Again, depends on the shittiness of the brokerage house. I mean, you have these. So I have written here, like, you got to think Boiler Room. Now, Dave, I've been harping on you to watch this movie. Have you yet seen this movie?
No, I haven't, but I'm aware of the movie. That's with Giovanni Ribisi or whatever his name is.
If you were to watch Boiler Room,
I used to have a pair of those in high school.
Yeah.
you would understand exactly what this is like. It's, you know what? We've done this before. It's the Wolf of Wall Street.
The penny stock deal.
It's exactly that, where they're just pushing and pushing. The practice is called pump and dump.
Right.
It's that. It is that. It's that. These guys, hard selling.
And it's all over the phone back then. You know
Correct.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
100% on the phone. They weren't using dial-up internet. There was nothing. No AOL.
Hard to track things.
Well, I had mentioned, I mean, I was victim to this in a way, but a modern day version that I was basically got dealing in penny stocks. And a guy at work turned me on like, oh yeah, check out this company. Like there was all this like there were all these news stories about this. It was a golf company. And they had this they had a patent on a metal that they were using for their clubs, and they had one or two golfers that were using their clubs in the PGA, and they were like, these are going to be like the next great thing. And it was a penny stock. And you invest in this penny stock thinking, oh, I could, if this thing blows up, I'm going to be rich.
And it's costing you pennies.
It never does.
Yeah.
Well, it does. But then you say, oh, I'll put 500 in there. It's $500.
Sure.
You got 50,000 shares or whatever. And you think, oh, if this goes up to $1, I got 50 grand now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it just doesn't happen that way.
No, it's rare. It's absolutely rare. In fact, I think we talked about this before with the crypto. This is the same concept. When you're buying crypto, whatever the hell kind of Vegas bullshit that stuff is, and you're buying it at pennies and you're hoping it's going to go into dollars.
Yeah.
That's a huge, tremendous return.
And they're still pushing that. We were watching the UFC fight last night.
All the guys are wearing crypto.com.
Crypto.com, crypto stuff all over.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I kept looking at that too. Like, what? Are they really pushing that still?
Yeah, like they didn't learn their lesson.
They haven't learned.
Crypto no be real money.
Oh, yeah, Trey, you going to learn. All right, well, it's now 1992. And by now, Lou has figured out the secret recipe to boy bands. Gather a demographically different group of boys who can sing, and get professional songwriters to supply them with material. He placed an ad in a Florida newspaper calling for teenage boys to audition for a new musical act. Dozens arrived to perform at the first audition, including a young man named A.J. McLean. A second audition was held months later, now in 1993. Notable attendees at this audition included Howie Doro, Kevin Richardson, Brian Luttrell, and Nick Carter. The Backstreet Boys were formed, and to supply them with material, Pearlman hired Max Martin. Anybody? Max Martin?
I actually looked that up because I was curious.
Did you see the laundry list? And I mean laundry list. I'll make this as quick and easy as possible.
Yeah.
That guy is responsible for writing over 470 songs that have been recorded and released. Like not just written a song and, threw it into his nightstand. I'm saying written, performed by artists, recorded by other artists, by those artists, and released on albums. Over 470. And that's just writing.
Yes.
Production, almost the same number.
Did you see he was number 2 only behind Paul McCartney for number 1 written, songs written by?
I did see that. And so for anyone out there who is not familiar with Max Martin, grab a seat for this one. So this Swedish songwriter,
Max Martin.
Max Martin,
Yes.
hey, fun boy.
Come here.
He's written songs that have been recorded and released by Adele, Ariana Grande, Avril Lavigne, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Celine Dion, Christina Aguilera, Coldplay, Cyndi Lauper, Def Leppard, Ed Sheeran, Justin Timberlake, Katy Perry, Kelly Clarkson, Lady Gaga or Lady Gaga, Maroon 5, Michael Bolton, Nick Carter, Nick Jonas, Nicki Minaj, NSYNC, Pink, Pitbull, Post Malone, Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, and Usher.
Wow.
Those are just the names that I knew going down the list.
The only one I didn't see that you had there that I had, which is a lot, and I didn't even see half of those, was Katy Perry was the only other one I saw.
Shit, I forgot to. No, I thought I said Katy Perry after Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
I
you
might
did.
be wrong.
You did. Okay.
Again, the list goes on and on.
Might have been lost in the mix.
Yeah, pour some sugar on me. That'd be a good song. Yeah.
This guy's ridiculous with this. I mean, how do you do that?
I think he just writes.
How do you just
Like he
amass?
just sits around like in his house and something happens in his life. He probably like parties hard and just comes up with these songs.
Pour some syrup on me.
Just back a door, boys, yes.
Would there syrup big in Sweden? I don't know. What would be big in Sweden that you'd pour on somebody?
Red fish.
Pour some red fish on me.
Little red jellyfish.
Oh, that's that Prince song.
Little red jellyfish.
What? Who? Like this
Maybe
Max
much
Martin
too
dude? Like
fast.
I have not seen. I need to look up a picture of him.
Dude, take a look at.
He reminds me like he has like a little Asian boy with bang snaps.
I can tell you exactly who he is. We've all seen, because we've done the podcast on this. Almost Famous.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did we do the podcast on that?
No, we
No.
didn't.
Shit. Well, then I wanted to do
But
Almost Famous.
we talked about it. a
Yeah,
lot.
it's in our heads. We already did it like in our minds.
So if you've seen Almost Famous, with Almost Famous, the drummer for Stillwater, the guy who's on the plane, he says, "I'm gay."
Fever dog. Oh, that guy. Yes.
The guy that admits to, or the guy that comes out of the closet while the plane is crashing.
Yeah, he's Swedish though, isn't he?
Anyway,
Yeah.
Max Martin looks like that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw his picture, and he's what you probably envision. He's only like 53, maybe like he's in his 50s. He's not much older. I think he was born in 71 when I looked it up real quick.
I was going to say
he's
he
young.
might have 5 years on us.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And 1,000 more songs than us.
Yes, we're getting there.
Oh, well.
Great day. I'll write a song about today.
Had a good day today.
Yes. That's a song.
While the boy band project progressed, Lou still had Airship International and Transcontinental Airlines to tend to. He and his team continued to seek out investors, offering them shares of either company's stock with guaranteed dividends of 10%. When that well of investors ran dry, he began to offer investors the option to invest in Transcontinental Airlines' federally insured employee stock ownership plan, what he had termed as an employee investment savings account, or EISA. Pearlman's pitch was an easy one. The strength of the EISA was in its being guaranteed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, that's FDIC, and by being insured by AIG Insurance Company and Lloyd's of London. Add to that a guaranteed dividend rate of 8%, and you're a fool not to buy. As Pearlman's interest in boy bands began to rise, his Airship International business began to sink. The company posted a $2 million loss in 1992 and a $4 million loss in 1993. By late 1994, the stock price had fallen to 13 cents per share, having once been as high as $6 per share. But it mattered very little to investors, though. By now, investors' focus was on Transcontinental Airlines, and Pearlman had folded all of his holdings into subsidiaries of it. In addition to that EISA program, subsidiaries of Transcontinental Airlines now included the Chip and Dale's male stripper franchise, a string of TCBY yogurt franchises, Transcon Records, and Transcon Studios.
A lot of trans in there.
A lot of trans. I took notice to that.
Yeah, but I didn't know Chippendales had a. They sell franchises of that.
To be clear, my understanding is you just buy the name and then you can
Throw it in there whoever you want.
Yeah, add and subtract dudes, and you can do anywhere with it. Go anywhere with it. It's like the Rockettes.
Is that something where Chippendale, where you would like?
And we're not talking about the Chipmunks here.
No. This is like the
I
guys.
thought you meant the Rescue Rangers.
That's correct.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
not talking
Yes.
about those guys.
These are the guys with the bow ties on
Oh.
and nothing else, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Back in their day, they would walk around shirtless, but just have a bow tie around their neck.
But what was their job? Was that like bachelorette parties and
Sure.
stuff?
Yep.
That's all they would do.
Or bachelor parties.
I don't want to see you.
Or bachelor parties,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if you're one of Matt's friends, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
they get in the bachelor party central.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. I guess one of the venues they would go to is a bachelor or a bachelorette party. I'm sure that there are strip johns for chicks.
That's what I mean. Is there like a Chippendale strip
I don't
club?
think they're a thing anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Like in
I'm
2024.
I'm intrigued. I just want to know. You know?
Oh, look.
Hey,
I
we're,
just-
we're looking for investments here. At
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
Old
Well,
Dirty
I'm just
Basement,
thinking
so.
if this doesn't work out,
Yeah,
the
we could-
podcast. you know?
We could all, I think the three of us could successfully do well at being Chippendales dancers,
yeah.
for sure.
Did you see the
maybe chip and dip?
Yeah. Chip and dip.
nice?
TCBY by now is also defunct. I remember seeing those things everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Like
this
Sweet
can't be
Frogs
yogurt,
and-
or is
yeah,
this the
This
country's
Can't Be
best
Yogurt.
yogurt?
The country's best yogurt.
I thought it
Okay.
was This Can't Be.
It could go either way. I think.
Just like
AC/DC.
It's trans.
just like
It's just
Chippendales. A lot of trans here.
Transcon Records.
Yeah.
That's funny, but true.
Yes.
All right. The Backstreet Boys began their upward climb to stardom with humble beginnings on May 8th, 1993. Their first performance was at SeaWorld in Orlando. They went on to spend the next year and a half performing at malls, restaurants, and schools. At the end of 1994, they made their way to Europe to tour and record. Their debut album, Backstreet Boys, was released internationally in the spring of 1996. Now, by internationally, I mean everywhere but North America.
Like a test.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. They went on to record and release a second album, Backstreet's Back, released on August 11th, 1997. This, too, was only an international release, everywhere but North America. The next day, August 12th, 1997, the Backstreet Boys released their United States debut album, Backstreet Boys. Yes, it's the same title as their first international release. The U.S. album included songs from both of their internationally released albums and spawned 6 singles, including We've Got It Going On, Quit Playing Games with My Heart, As Long As You Love Me, Everybody, also known as Backstreet's Back, I'll Never Break Your Heart, and All I Have to Give. Their debut U.S. album would go on to sell over 14 million copies.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know how big they are. I mean, like at this time, when this album comes out, we're like 21, 22 years old.
Sure.
And I just remember on MTV at the time, it's all that was Backstreet Boys,
Yep.
like boy bands in general, but they were like one of the...
What was that show?
TRL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TRL.
It's kind of when MTV was making that transition from like, it was getting into, well, I think
Shows
there's
and
Real
stuff.
World and all that came out
Yeah.
a little before that,
Yep.
but it changed from like, I would go to MTV to like
Watch videos.
watch videos and see what cool music's coming out and
it
all
became
that.
more shows and interactive with the VJ.
Right.
In this case, what was his name? Colin
Firth.
Colin
Maybe
Colin Quinn.
Colin Quinn.
Maybe I'm wrong. What's
Yeah,
the name of the
Colin
goddamn
Quinn.
guy who hosted TRL?
Oh, yeah. Carson Daly.
That's it, Carson. Not
Yeah,
Colin,
who is
not
now
Colin,
on like
Carson.
Good Morning America or some shit.
GMA.
Yeah.
Is he? Does he have a show?
I don't know what Carson Daly's up to
No,
anymore.
he's-
I'm thinking of
he's-
Ryan Seacrest. I get him confused.
Carson Daly's on like Good Morning America, or he's like a TV morning host of a show.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Look what I
he
learned
probably is though. I mean, he had that look, you know what I mean? Like all those guys, but just for me, MTV at that time changed, and it was all of a sudden
Yep.
like,
And I stopped watching.
yeah, I mean, I did too, honestly. But that we went to the box, started watching
Yeah.
the box,
Yep.
or what was the other video channel? Was there another one? I'm thinking of?
VH1.
Well, VH1, yeah, they had VH1 Classic,
Mm.
which plays like your older stuff.
You
But,
can still do VH1 still plays music videos.
oh, BET, I'd watch that.
Carson Daly's on the Today Show,
There you go.
not GMA.
So Backstreet Boys got their name from like a market or something down there.
Fun fact, the Backstreet Boys name came from a flea market in Orlando known as the Backstreet Market, which at the time was a teenage hangout.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
They
think
were
it's where,
named after a flea market.
I think that's where COVID started.
Yeah.
We could have called our podcast The Big M.
That COVID was great. Thank you. That was so good. Oh, God.
Where they started COVID.
Yeah.
At the Backstreet Market.
At the Backstreet Market in Orlando, but not in Japan or China. I'm sorry, in China. God damn, that was a good one, Dave.
I don't get
Man,
it.
that was a really good one.
Wait, I don't get it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on,
Don't
man.
you know they said that it started at a wet market? COVID.
All right, I got you. I got you.
You
Not
remember
in
the story,
China.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Like instead of at a lab where it really did start, they're saying
Yeah.
that some random bat
Yeah, the bat
took a shit someplace and
Yeah.
somebody ate the shit and then they got the COVID from the bat shit.
I thought you were saying like the bat, like the AIDS or something.
The AIDS.
No.
From the back street.
He just said that
Yeah.
it was a market in Orlando, and I said I think that's where COVID started.
All right, I got you.
God damn. While the Backstreet Boys had been busy in Europe, Pearlman decided to start another boy band. Pearlman had been introduced to a young man named Chris Kirkpatrick, who'd been performing at Universal Studios in Florida. After a few more meetings, Pearlman promised to finance a group for Kirkpatrick if he could find 4 other young boys to join him. Kirkpatrick spent a year searching and ultimately found 2 more guys, J.C. Chazez, or Chazé, and Justin Timberlake, both of whom had been in the Mickey Mouse Club.
There we
Look,
go.
I don't know who J.C. Chazez is, or Chazé, or Sade, or
Sade's amazing.
who cares? The Chasez is the last name of J.C.
Not Chavez.
Not Jesus Christ Chazez, but
Okay.
J.C. Chazé. Sachet
Chazé.
Yeah.
All
Very
right.
good.
Now in search of a baritone and a bass singer, the threesome found Joey Fat One and Jason Galasso, respectively. Oh, wait, is that Joey
No,
Fatone?
it's Joey Fat One. No, it's Fat One.
Yeah.
He is the fat one these days.
Joey Fat One.
Yeah.
All right, with these 5, NSYNC was formed. Just before signing their first record deal, Galasso quit the band and went on to become a mortgage broker. He was swiftly replaced by a young man named Lance Bass.
Oh,
I thought it was Lance Bass.
Lance Bass.
Joey Fat One,
Joey
Lance
Fat
Bass, and Jesus
Yeah.
Christ Chazez.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So, fun fact. Does anyone know where the name NSYNC came from?
Mm-mm.
Ooh, well, sit back, my son, and I shall tell you a tale. NSYNC
Oh,
is
yeah, I know this one. Yeah.
it's actually an acronym
Yes.
made up of the last letters of each of the initial members' first names. Justin,
And
Chris, Joey, Jason, and JC. The
about that?
NSYNC.
That worked out well.
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Didn't the Beastie Boys, didn't they want to have an acronym? Did you ever read about that? It was
Yeah,
like
it was
boys.
entering anarchistic stages
Stages.
towards internal excellence. That's what it is.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
that's
too
a real
much.
thing.
But
yeah.
and actually, the Beastie Boys got their name because their favorite band was Bad Brains.
Okay.
So they wanted,
Yeah, they were
what did you
punk.
call that? An alliteration.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be BB as well. So that's why it came up with Beastie Boys.
There was a woman in the first Beastie Boys.
There were,
Yeah.
there was, yes. There were.
There were a woman. Yes.
Yeah.
More than a woman.
To
That's
me.
right.
So I can't help but wonder about this Jason Galasso. So he quit, and he quit just before they signed. Like, they're just about to sign a record deal. Like, this could be tremendous, huge.
Yeah.
He says, no, forget that. I want to go be a mortgage broker.
He was taking the safe route.
I mean, yeah, but I wonder if the guy looks back and says, oh, maybe I should have
should've
gone with
been
that record deal. I mean, I could have been the next, I don't know, Lance Bass, Joey Fat One, who's in that, My Big Fat Greek Bitch movie, whatever.
Yeah.
That was Justin Timberlake, you name it.
Yeah, that was much like me with Maroon 6. So that
Yeah,
told you
when you
about.
were in there.
Yeah.
Well, think about
those were the days.
Yeah.
Think about American Idol, the first season. A lot of people don't remember, but there was 2 hosts, Ryan Seacrest and Ryan Dunkelman.
I don't remember Ryan Dunkelman at all.
Yeah. You remember that?
Wait, it was another guy. Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
His name didn't click well with, popularity.
No,
It wasn't so good coming off the tongue.
But he was good on there. Like those 2 were. I watched American Idol early on.
Okay.
I enjoyed the bad singers, like She Bang, all them guys.
Sure.
But Dunkelman was good, and then I think after the first season, he was like, I think it was his choice not to come back.
Oh, he's like, this is stupid.
Like, yeah, like almost
got
like
better
I got better
things.
things to do, and it's like, oops,
I did it again.
yeah, oops, I did it again. Yeah, much like you leave the band, but much like the guy from what we talked about the Beatles. Did that guy leave or did he get kicked out?
Frank Beatle.
Yeah, Frank Beatle.
So unbeknownst to many out there was a 5th member of the Beatles named Frank Beatle.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Guns N' Roses.
That's right. So that poor guy left the band or got kicked out of the band, and alas, the rest is history with the Fab Four.
Yes.
It's like
So that would
Screwface.
suck.
I think they got rid of, like, there was some beef in the band, and
Yeah.
Well, if that's what we were talking about. But at least your name's not in the band. You know what I mean? Like this guy, like what we were talking about with Guns N' Roses was the guy's name was Joey Guns or something, right? Or something like that.
Oh, Tracy Guns.
Tracy
Tracy
Guns.
Guns, yeah.
In
And
fact, Matt, it's funny you mentioned about Screwface. There, the 5th member of Screwface was a guy named what was thought was just some no-name singer named Rick Astley.
mm-hmm.
He left, and I guess he did okay, but
Shit, Rick Astley was
he let you guys down.
yeah, he was in Screwface.
I didn't know he went to
He
McDevitt.
gave you up and let you down.
That son of a bitch. He went back on his song.
He did. He lied through us through lyrics.
He did.
I hate when that happens.
So with all this going on, so again, now you've got Pearlman's got this recipe for making boy bands, right? It's real simple. You get a bunch of different guys that look kind of different, like a very white, waspy blonde one that'll go all the way down in the color scheme to like a tan Grecian guy or whatever guy.
Latino or
Correct. And then get them to sing, get them to dance, and get somebody to write these songs for these guys.
What was it? The recipe was like a sweet one, a nice one, a bad one.
Sure.
Yeah.
A cool one.
It's like
and a nerdy one.
Dude, this has been going on for years though, but nonetheless, I just am reminded of a Simpsons episode of this where they took all basically the guy, the equivalent of Pearlman, came to Springfield and he got Nelson and Milhouse and Bart and oh my God, Ralphie Wiggum and some other one to join all together and do this boy band, and they were singing, and it was actually singing hypnotically "Join the Navy." There was a hypnotic
there was an
undertone there.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
No black dudes in the band.
no,
You know, but probably because then, you know, when they're dancing and stuff, it would look bad. You know what I mean? Versus like they're better dancers.
You're saying
you know what I mean?
the black guys would make the white guys look bad?
Dancing and stuff. You know
Well,
what I'm
look,
saying?
the Jackson 5 nailed it. I mean, you can't mess that one up.
Yeah, right.
That's true. Like the boy bands were not like, I don't know if it was like a cultural thing, but there wasn't like I guess New Edition would be a black boy band.
Boys to Men, you had
Boys
New
to
Edition
Men.
and all that, but all these bands were all as dark, like Zap got, you'd have a Latino guy or something like that, but that was it.
In fact, Backstreet Boys were created with the thought of, I want to take the look of New Kids, but some of the street of of Boys to Men. That was basically
Like a combo.
the thought, like the mixing of those two materials.
Yeah, because as edgy as I think in New Kids, like they wanted Mark Wahlberg to be in that band.
Sure.
And he was like, well, his brother Donnie was in New Kids. He was the more edgy one of the New Kids. But Mark Wahlberg was like, no, I don't want to be part of that. But they wanted to get a little bit of edge in there, but it wasn't like these guys were.
Yeah, Wahlberg, he was too busy like bench pressing like cinder blocks.
Yeah.
But that's what he came out with his own stuff later on. But yeah.
This is a wild story, man. I'm wild to the extent of like going back in time and understanding how this all came about now, like reading about it, how these bands are formed. Like these weren't friends, like childhood friends that all grew up together and said, they're singing like doo-wop around a fire or a can on fire on, in Philly or some shit.
But that was like, that was like New Edition and those bands were all kids growing up together. Like, hey, we'll put them together. They go to the same church.
Yep. This was just farming.
It's travel singing, basically, like a travel team. You
for
just,
sure.
It's not kids from the neighborhood. It's like, oh, he's good.
But these guys couldn't even really sing. Like that was, if you listen to some of their voices are not, I don't know, their range is pretty crappy.
It's more about the look.
Yeah, the look. I think that's what they're going for.
Joey Fat One.
Mm-hmm. He had to get the bass, and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
So was it Joey Fat One or Lance Bass that sang bass? Because they needed
Fatone was the bass, I think.
The last two, they needed a baritone and they needed a bass singer. And they had found Joey Fat One and Jason Galasso, who was later replaced by Lance Bass.
Yeah, Lance Bass, I think, was more the baritone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the same fashion as the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC made their way to Europe to tour and record. On the heels of the Backstreet Boys' recent success, NSYNC were an instant hit in Europe, particularly in Germany. NSYNC released their self-titled debut album in Germany on May 26, 1997, recorded on Pearlman's Transcon Records. Yeah, don't forget, everybody, we're talking about Lou Pearlman here. Their success in Europe was an easy transition to the U.S. market, where, on March 24th, 1998, they released their self-titled U.S. debut album, which included a reworking of some of the songs from their German debut album and some additional tracks. Of 13 total tracks on that album, 8 were released as singles. That's 8 out of 13.
That's crazy.
That included I Want You Back, Tearing Up My Heart, Here We Go, For the Girl Who Has Everything, Together Again, You Drive Me Crazy, God Must Have Spent a Little More Time on You, and I Drive Myself Crazy.
A lot of crazy.
They're
crazy, yeah.
Well, that crazy album would go on to sell over 15 million copies.
It's weird. I don't remember really any of those songs. Like I know
I know Tearing Up My Heart. I know that one.
I don't know that one.
No, I don't know any of these other ones either. You're right.
God Must Have Spent a Little More Time. I never heard of that. No. I Drive Myself Crazy.
You Drive Me Crazy.
For the good. Yeah, that. Yeah, that, I remember that.
Hair.
Here We Go. I don't know that.
That's Fine Young Cannibals.
Fine Young Cannibals, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
these songs, they don't strike. I knew the other ones better.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure if you heard them, you probably know them. You know
probably.
Because they were all over MTV and everything.
God
else.
damn, these were all over.
Yeah, but we weren't really, like you said, we weren't really into the whole MTV thing at this time. We were kind of just growing up, and
by this time you're in your early 20s.
Yeah.
And you've already, I mean, there have been studies done on this. You're already kind of set in your ways on the musical style you like.
Right.
Like you're going to go back to, like you're going to, if it's me at that point, you're going to stick with whatever's coming out from, let's say, Pearl Jam or Alice in Chains or anything from, high school, anything, alternative. Or I'm going to go back to the classics. I'm going to go back to Led Zeppelin. I'm going to go back to Van Halen.
the stuff you heard on the radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I turned 21, and Matt will remember this night. We went out to the Vault downtown, right?
Screwface played at the Vault.
Yes, and that song came on. Matt and I were down there. You must have been 20. I was December. He was in January, so it had to have been after January because you were 21.
Yeah, it's a whole year. Yeah, it's a whole year.
We were in the Vault drinking, and Blur song 2 came on. That woohoo,
yeah,
and we were like, the whole place was going nuts, and we were screaming. And the next day, my voice, I didn't have a voice because we were singing woohoo like at the top of our lungs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I was listening to stuff like that. I mean, I was still listening to like rap and whatever else a little bit. But yeah, you're right. I was more into the rock world around that time. Like the new metal stuff was coming out.
Sure.
And I was into like Deftones and Korn and all those bands. But I wasn't listening to NSYNC or anything like that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like my wife, who at the time was my girlfriend, was not really into this stuff. She was more into country music and whatever else. So
yeah. Well. Let's see. Album went on to sell 15 million copies. Oh, but then in 1998, Brian Littrell of the Backstreet Boys filed a lawsuit against Transcontinental Records, which all other members except Nick Carter later joined. Turns out, Pearlman wasn't exactly fair about their European earnings before they made it big in the United States. In fact, from 1993 to 1997, the Backstreet Boys had earned close to $10.5 million. Of that, however, Pearlman had kept close to $10 million, while the Backstreet Boys were given only $300,000 collectively over the course of 4 years. All lawsuits were settled quietly out of court.
So yeah, man, that's crazy that he would rip them off like that. You know what I mean? Because they had to been making money, and I just don't know why you wouldn't pay your artists.
Yeah, because it's his money. Like the more money you can get out of people, these, like you said, these were like a crock pot of kids thrown together. And the parents don't know much about this. They know that their kids are on TV. They know that they're making money somehow.
Yep. They're
getting something like how they did with the big bands. They're giving them a little bit here, a little bit there. They're staying at the nicest hotels. They all got like groupies. They have women. They're not thinking about the money.
And so Matt makes a very, very good point that despite, okay, here's a check and here's what you get. Well, in the meantime, you have been living lavishly in a hotel. You've been eating well. You've been gaining this success. You've been going to parties. You've been driving around in fancy cars.
Helicopter rides, fancy cars, limos.
That shit costs money.
And he's billing them the whole time.
The whole time. Not only is he billing them, he was actually, the way that he had drawn up the contract for Backstreet Boys, he was the 6th member of the Backstreet Boys.
Yes, I did hear that.
He was the Frank Beatle of the Beatles.
Yeah. So he was getting a 1/6 of everything. I mean, he was getting more, you know what I mean?
He was getting a 1/6 of the net. He was able to run that through, all the expenses through, but he also was charging exorbitant management fees that, okay, well, my management fees come off the top, just like the cost of a hotel, just like the cost of a limo ride. That comes right off the top.
But he's a businessman. These are kids. He's been trying to make money his whole life. He understands how it works. Well, he's making the money. These kids are living a life that they never had.
Yep.
The only, go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the only one that they look at back was Joe Jackson, not the British singer Joe Jackson, who I just saw the other. He was very good, actually.
The baseball player?
No.
Shoeless?
Not Shoeless Joe Jackson.
No.
Yeah.
Joe Jackson of the Jackson 5.
Of the father of the Jackson 5.
Yes, the father of the Jackson 5. He dealt with everything himself.
Sure.
If there was any money, anything like that was going through him.
You know,
he didn't have like, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't taking the kids in limos. He wasn't doing they were getting in his like station wagon and going home.
Dude, that reminds me when I hate that. I'm sorry to laugh at it, but it's hysterically pathetic. When Michael Jackson died, and of course this was like the Pope dying. I mean, it was a global
big deal,
yeah,
huge hit. Again, a hit.
No pun intended.
A hit to the global mindset and memory. Like everybody knows Michael Jackson. So they're talking to his parents afterwards, like they're walking out of the church, like, "Oh, you must be so sad. You know, we're so sorry for your loss." And Joe Jackson says, well, yeah, but if anyone's interested, I just started up a new record label.
He's promoting.
Do you guys remember that? Like,
No.
that was ridiculous. Like, I was blown away to see that.
He's always dealing.
What
man.
an ass.
Yeah.
But I was about the money, man.
I was thinking about this, like with both these bands, and I was like as a parent and your kid, because these kids, most of them were under 18 when they're signing contracts and doing all that. And as a parent, you would think you'd be with the record industry. You always hear about people getting taken advantage of, and it's been going on forever. But then I was thinking about these bands in particular were thrown together by, hey, let's just find 5 good singers that can dance. Like you're so replaceable.
Sure.
In these bands that
100%.
That you almost feel like I better take what they give me because I'm interchangeable with, like, there's 40 other kids out here that look like me, sound like me, can dance like me. So you kind of don't want to stir it up too much.
So how Hollywood is too. Like when their kids are in this business as children actors, as child actors and actresses, they don't want to say much because they don't want to lose what they have.
If you're a talent like Elton John or something, I'm just throwing a name out there, somebody that's just like, you're unique and it's a talent that, like, there's only one person like that, or there's a handful of people that can sing or play piano or do something like that. But these guys are just like, you can sing and dance a little bit, and you're good looking.
Yep.
Well, that's dime a dozen. And Orlando's a hotbed for those.
Well, those kids are going to Disney to try out for
sure,
they're all
absolutely.
That's all they do.
Hey guys, can you wrap it up?
What the shit, man?
There's a lot of info on this guy.
Mrs. Dave, we've got a lot of stuff to get through here. I mean, we've just gotten to the success of the Backside Boys and NSYNC. Like, there's a whole lot to do.
Kids got to get to bed.
Juicy details, man.
And that's beat.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, that's just the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. We've still got to look. The focus is on Lou here. We got to get back to Lou.
Right.
Who's Lou?
I think we will. I think we'll get back to this guy.
Well, I hope so. God damn it.
Yeah, man, this is a good one. I can't wait to find out how this ends, although I kind of know. But I really don't have all the details on the end, so I'm excited to hear about that. You guys got anything else in closing on this one?
No, apparently we got to get out of here quickly. So
stay tuned for part 2.
We'll pick this up next week, hopefully when Mrs. Dave won't be busting our balls to get out of here.
Right. Don't forget to leave us a review on Spotify, on Apple, a written review. All of our Overcast listeners, welcome. We hope you found us on there. We're getting a lot of good feedback from there. And don't forget to find our socials. We got Facebook, Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, and TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. We'll be back next week with part 2. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for hanging out in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is available streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.